So we'll give just 2-3 minutes more for others to join. See, I'll try to tell you what DevOps is in a very simple 1-2 steps. Okay, but nowadays it has become a little bit more. Also, we'll talk about it. See, there is a reason why I started the session asking, you know, can you please introduce yourself and tell me what background you come from? Naturally, generally, leaving DevOps, if it is, I'm trying to do a kind of an introductory thing for some other course. The way it would have happened is I would have spoken first, then I would have said, okay, guys, now you can go ahead and ask me questions. Okay, that is actually logical, right? Because I explain something, then we can have a discussion. But here, if you see, I started asking that, can you please, at least few, tell me the kind of background you come from? Okay. Why did I do that? I did that because I want every one of you to know that the class of DevOps, the participants, if you see, you know, everyone will be coming from a different kind of background. Now, what do I mean by that? See, if today, if I'm doing some kind of a database administration course, let's say Oracle course, in a class, if we have 15 people, right? All the 15 people will be some way doing something related to database only, right? That is why they are trying to learn a little bit more about database administration and all that. If I try to do a course on a Linux administration, all the participants are probably working on Linux, or maybe they want to work on, they want to get a job in Linux. That is why they're attending the course. But here, if you see, we have Amir coming from a kind of a ETL background. We have Ajmal coming from a kind of a different background. So we have, if you see the composition, out of 4 or 5 people whom I have spoken, two of them have come from an ETL background. One is a developer. One is doing the deployment of applications, right? And one is from the performance testing. You see how different it is, right? Then how come it is that everyone learn the same course? Because their area of interest and their area of specialization is different. Testing is different. ETL is different. Development is different. Deployments is different. But still, you know, this DevOps, in a class of this DevOps, we have a composition like that, right? If I a little bit ask more, you will see quite a few coming from even mainframe background or sysadmin background. Of course, a lot of people do attend. They come. Why? The reason is DevOps is basically not any kind of technology or anything. Okay? It's basically way of doing things. It's a way how it is, you have to get your things done, right? Now, when I say it is a way that how the things has to be get done, that will hold true in whichever field you are working for, right? Even if you are a developer, then if I say, this is how you have to work, and how you have to work is use the DevOps practices. That holds true even for testing. That holds true even for system administration, DBs, everyone. And that is the reason nowadays you go to any new project. Okay, the very first question is that we are having DevOps practice, we are having pipelines, we have infrastructure as code, we are into cloud, we are into containers. These are all basically part of this. Right? But what is this whole DevOps thing now? To understand this DevOps thing, let's leave the current way how it is going. Okay, let's go 5, 6 years back. When initially this whole DevOps practice, people started embracing it. Right? The idea then was, if you see this word DevOps, there are two things here. One is dev and one is ops. Right? When I say dev, the dev here is basically development. So I'm speaking about developers, you know, QA, QC, everybody fall under this category. Whose primary job, whose primary job is to build applications. Okay, that is what is the development team. Right? Uh, Ops here is basically the operations team. So these guys' job is to provide infrastructure for this, for the development and running of this application. Right? That is what is operations. So who comes under this? Your sysadmins, your DBAs, network engineers, security engineers, etc., etc., etc. All this comes under operations. Traditionally, for a long time, the way it used to happen is nowadays it is little bit better. But if you take 6 7 years back, you go to any kind of a big company, or to that matter, even small companies also. The way it used to happen is these two teams, you know, they used to work in their own way of working. Now, own way meaning that these guys are busy building their applications. These guys will set up the infrastructure, and generally never the kind of conversation ever used to happen between these two teams that okay, for this kind of application what infrastructure you need. Though initially at a project time probably the discussion used to happen, but after that, you know operations used to go the way they want, development used to go they want, and eventually the day when the application has to be deployed, then that day when the application is deployed, and if the system is slow or something is not working, that's where all this kind of troubleshooting things used to happen. Now you tell me, if you tell me, hey Ravi, what is this? If they are in the same team, naturally they'll talk and they'll speak, and at every point of development both will speak and get things done, right? Ideally it should have been like that, but never it used to happen. Why it never used to happen? Though from last 6 7 years, I am more into all these DevOps kind of things. But even I am basically from this kind of a background. Yeah? What used to happen here is this. See, you take a developer, okay? What is his job? The whole job of this development team is basically to write the code for your application, right? Whatever application it is. The job is they are being hired so that they can write the code, right? So if there is only one person doing the whole development, then it's a different issue. He can put everything in his laptop or desktop, get it done. But when you're speaking about an enterprise kind of companies and when you have huge big development teams, then what you do, maybe you take a place, you put your code here and let everybody collaborating and updating the code which is at this location, right? So this place where you put code is basically, you know we call it as version control kind of systems, right? Maybe just put version controlling software. Okay? So meaning that this guy writes code, he put it, this guy is also updates the code here, this guy also update the code here. The code they're just building. Once the whole code is built, what you do, uh, you test this code, right? How you test this code? You take a system, you deploy your application, right? What is deploy? Basically just copying your code. If some compiling is required, you do that, you put it on the system, then your QA teams will test if everything is working fine, right? So the next thing happens is you do test, right? If testing also happens properly, then what you do is you will deploy your application, right, onto your actual production systems so that your customers can start accessing it, right? So the final thing that happens is, you know you do a full scale kind of a deployment. Any development you take, these are the four things, right? Code, write the code, test the code, deploy it. Write, test, deploy. Write, test, deploy. Nothing else. Whatever things are required for this to happen, let's say you need, let's say this application, they need some 10 servers. Okay. In that, let's say 4 are Linux servers. Let's say there are 5 Windows servers. And each system, let's say there is some kind of a storage, some 100 GB of storage should be there for these systems. Okay. And who can log into the system and who can do what, that is also important, right? This whole infrastructure part is taken care by these people, right? What is it? Setting up new servers, right? So managing your OS, your login, you know, all that stuff, right? So the way this used to happen, this whole operational stuff, basically, we used to do a lot of these things manually. Okay. So let me take an example. Okay. For next 2 minutes, I'm taking a perspective of operation guy. Okay. Operation people, how they work. See, I have a manager. Okay. He comes to me and tells me, Ravi, there is a requirement from the development team. Okay. There is a requirement from the development team that they want one Oracle server. Okay. Then I tell him, all right, get me one, get me the system, okay, where I can install Oracle for them. So he talks to, let's say Windows guys or Linux guys, or he'll get me one system. Then I have a document, okay, where whole installation and setup of Oracle, is there. So this is a company specific one, a standard SOP is there, how we have to install Oracle. I take the document. Whatever it is given in the document, I will literally follow it. I'll do all the steps, and the end result is my Oracle server is ready. Okay. I tell to my manager, okay, it's done. Now you can tell to the development team, they can start using this database server. After 2 days, again, my manager comes to me, and in my team, you know, uh, there's one other person, and to him he tells, hey, there is a requirement for one more Oracle server. Could you please set it up? So what that guy does, he says, all right, just get me one system, and he talks to the team which handles giving these machines, and this is the other guy. Okay, even he follows the same document. He does all the steps, and the eventual thing is this is Oracle server. Okay, this is also ready. Okay. This is where the first challenge comes. I follow a document to set up something. Okay. Somebody else follow a document to set up something. Same thing. There is no guarantee. There is no guarantee that these two will be 100% same. Why? There is a lot of human factor involved here, right? Now I am a little bit experienced guy. I see a document and somewhere if I get some error while doing it, I'll try to do some kind of a fix and get my things done. This guy also, with kind of his experience, he'll do some kind of tweaking here and there. He'll do it. He'll get the things up. Okay? But there is an every possibility that you will see a drift in these kind of things. At least a little bit of change you will see it here. Not that 100% you will see, but there is an every possibility that it might happen. If it is just two servers, imagine that okay, only two, right? We can very neatly spend a whole day and we can do it and see that everything is same. We get that kind of a feel, but generally, when you are in a big kind of a enterprise kind of company and you have a lot of other things to do, and this happens to be just one task, and and you just start doing it. Anywhere you see a problem, you fix it up. Yeah. The problem is there is a human thing, so there is an every chance that these two systems might not be same. In that case, what happens when application is getting tested by the testing team and your application is put here? This application is using this database server. Okay, they test everything, they say everything fine, they give a go ahead. But in the production, this application is connected to this database server. Okay, and tomorrow you do it here, and if there is some kind of a change here compared to this, what will happen? It will start giving you all kind of a weird behavior. You will see that, oh my god, when I tested, testing team tested, everything looked great, but today how come it is, you know it's not working? Then you get into all troubleshooting kind of stuff. So the very first thing that is required is, when you are setting up multiple things in your company, you have to make sure that everything is same, so that you can vouch that if something works on one system, it will definitely work on the other systems also. Okay, that is the first thing what in this DevOps model, from an operational point of view, from an operational perspective, you need to get it fixed. So what they have done is, for a moment, I'll keep this here. So what they felt is, now there are two things that is happening. One thing is, see, these two guys are working in a complete silo. The reason why they are working in silo is, even if you make a Linux admin and a Android developer sit together and have them discuss related to something, you will see that both of them will not carry the discussion for a long time. The reason is, the mindset and the way how a development team works is completely different from the way and even the mindset of an operation guy. You talk to these guys, they keep on telling, I've written the so and so class, I've written so and so module, so and so language I've used, and I pushed my code to this version control, and all that kind of language. You talk to the guys here, we say, okay, we got a new server today, it is having 80 GB RAM, and that this is the route we have added, and this is the OS level performance tuning that we are doing, and all that kind of stuff. Then they felt that, this is not good. How about that we try to build a kind of a culture where these both of them, rather than working as a different, with a different mindsets, both of them work with in a similar kind of a mindset. That is where this whole DevOps thing came into picture. Okay, and what they prescribe is that, see, whatever developers are doing, guys, that is fine. You're doing great. Leave it here. And they said that, operation guys, whatever you are doing, right, whatever task you are doing, do it, but do it with a developer mindset. Do it with developer, the kind of tools he uses, it with that you get your things work. Meaning that you don't need to do anything manually. Try to use, try to write a code for each of those things. Exactly the way how a development team write code for application, operation team, you write code for your infrastructure. Okay. So the first, what is the first change they have prescribed? Development team still fine, operation guys, somebody from Linux background and other things. Nowadays, if you see, those all things are gone. Linux administration, sitting and typing commands and all that. What they're telling, whatever you want to do, write a code for it. What is the meaning of that? For the Oracle installation document, I'll write a code. When I have to set up the Oracle server, what I will do is just run this code. When this guy has to do it, he'll run the same code. When the code is same, does it matter who is running it? It doesn't. What will be the end result? Will be identical, 100% identical. So anything that you want to do from an operation, they said that you please write a code for it. How you write is, there are simple ways to do that. Exactly the way how your developers are maintaining their application code, by putting it one common place and everybody collaborating it. Just to put it in a technical words, I put this version controlling. Just take it easy, okay? This is nothing but, imagine it is some kind of place where you put code, so multiple people can at same time update the code. The way application team tests your code, your code also get it tested. Okay, your code also get it tested. So from operation background, what is a big change that is happening the moment companies make a choice of getting into DevOps, which nowadays almost it is leaving very small companies. Everybody follow this DevOps practice, right? Operations team also people should know how to write the code for their infrastructure, and this is what is called infrastructure as code. This is what is called infrastructure as code, meaning that the moment you have code, there are two things happening, guys. The speed at which you will set up your servers as will be very, very fast. Otherwise, what generally used to happen, you get all the approvals. Development team, let's say they ask for one server that they want to test something. Request go to the operation guys. They have a big list of checklists to do. They'll used to ask, 6 days, 5 days, 8 days, 9 days like that. I have seen places, where we used to ask for 6 days. Can you imagine? 6 days just to give a server. 6 days, what used to happen? It's just a complete delay of the work. Now that we have a code and you ask me to give a new server to you, probably I'll say, how about a day, an hour? Because all my job is just run it and get this thing up. No need to do all this manual kind of stuff. So it increases the speed at which you'll work. Second thing is it brings in absolute consistency, right? The human factor is removed. Everything is in code. You run it, I run it, anybody run it, and result will be same. And I want to do some change. If some in my company, if 100 database servers are there, and on each of this I want to do some change, I don't need to go to each system individually and do the change. Rather, I'll change the code here and run the code again. You see, the whole way of doing has changed. All right. So this is what happens from an operational background perspective. From development, what they told is, see this way that you write your code, then you deploy it to some testing environment, then you put it to production. All these things, whatever you are doing, if you are doing it manually, okay, then make it a continuous stuff. What is the meaning of continuous stuff is, if one of your developer update the code, just let's say just a small line, he updates it. Immediately, it should invoke it. It should get into the test environment, and with some proper guardrails and other things. If you want, you can even push it to the development. It means instead of any manual kind of triggering and other things, it should happen automatically. Okay, that is what is called CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous development. And this is where, little while ago someone was talking about pipelines and all that. That is all. That is all this. Okay. So from the development, what they said, that whole your deployment of your applications, everything, make it continuous. What is continuous? Continuous means your development team, somebody changes code, then automatically it triggers and rest all steps follows through, right? So that of course is a deeper stuff. Just on the surface I put it easily, but underlying things have changed now, whether you want to deploy it on cloud, you want to deploy it on containers, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, that anyways, uh, that those are little deeper discussions. But overall, what is DevOps now? If anybody asks us, what is DevOps? DevOps is nothing but just two things: infrastructure as code and setting up CI/CD. At an implementation level, these are the only two things, guys. Nothing else. At the implementation, it is nothing else other than you know infrastructure as code and CI/CD. That is DevOps. At a little bit upper level, we speak about culture and we speak about making things agile and all that stuff. But at a technical level, at an implementation level, DevOps is nothing but only two things. Wherever infrastructure things you are doing manually, write a code for it. Whichever applications you are doing manual things for deployment, write down a CI/CD for it. That that is DevOps. But the way it has changed in last 5 to 6 years is, see, initially, a lot of companies, even pre-COVID also, everyone used to manage their own servers in their own buildings, which we call it as on-prem. From there now, everyone are moving into cloud. That is one big change happening. The second big change happening is, if for long years, from last 20 years or more, or at least last 10 years, even more, we speak about virtual machines and all that, right? Or VMs and all that. The other thing that change that is happening is, instead of using these machines, virtual machines, more to be more precise, we are using another technology called containers. So these are the two big things that are happening now in almost all the projects. Moving to cloud, or if it is on cloud, making it much more suited for cloud. Second thing is moving into the containers. In both of this movement and both of this managing the stuffs, these steps are absolute must. The reason is, these two relies heavily on the kind of automation. So in cloud, there is, if anybody tries to do things manually, believe me, you know it is purely for learning purpose only. The moment he jumps into any company on cloud, you don't do anything manually. Okay? The reason is, anything that you do manually on cloud, as I told you, for everything there is, if you take AWS for instance, anything you want to do, there are some nice UI stuff you can do it, but there are a lot of options. So if two people do it, there is no guarantee both will do it same. So that is why, that manual things are completely avoided, and it is all automated. So as part of this ISE is what in the course you learn two tools. One is Ansible, one is Terraform. Okay. To understand the whole things about Linux, the DevOps stuff, and you know, a fundamental kind of a Linux understanding is important, and little bit of how servers works, that is important. So Linux also we have put it in course. As part of cloud, we'll do AWS. As part of understanding containers, we'll do Docker and Kubernetes. Okay. Um, yeah, primarily this, of course, shell scripting and all that we have put. And for the CI/CD, we'll try to learn it with a tool called Jenkins. And AWS, primarily our focus is on AWS cloud. So AWS has something called code pipeline and other things. We'll see even that. Now comes a question that somebody asked me, hey Ravi, I am not from a development background, nor writing code excites me. So to learn Ansible and this Terraform, do I need to know any programming language, or do I need to have some basic knowledge? Answer is no, you don't need any development knowledge. The reason is, these tools are called as declarative languages. What is the meaning of a declarative language is that the way you write the code in Ansible and Terraform is, you will tell what you want. You will tell what you want. Rest all the tool will, based on what you told it to do, it will go and do it for you. So it means it will not be like your JavaScript or Java or Python or anything. No, here it is all about just telling what you want. Okay. So it is actually good if you don't have any experience on programming also, so that you will directly understand it. Even if you have it, it's very good, but these tools naturally you'll have to learn, because these are different. Now, if you tell me, are these tools easy to learn? Of course, they are easy to learn. If those are not easy to learn, nobody will embrace it. Nobody embraces it, then nobody can get into this DevOps practice, right? So naturally, these tools are very, very easy to learn. Okay. All right, guys. So this is a little bit about stuff, and this whole thing in this whole is what the syllabus is. Okay, cloud. First we'll discuss this, then we'll discuss this, then we'll discuss this. Three things in the course. All right. All right, guys. So if you have any questions, you can ask.
Uh,
I,
Ravi, so
I
you're
didn't
not
go
going
you
to
guys,
cover
right?
the IAC part, right?
Ah, I'm sorry. What is that, Sharif?
I was asking that, you said the course only covers the container part, the cloud part, and then was
No, no, no,
right.
no, 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 no. This is this. Of course, we have to cover it, right? Without this, nothing will go. What I'm telling is whole course. If you see it from 50,000 feet kind of stuff, right? It is nothing but doing the learning how to do these two things in different setups. This setup, and this setup. You have these are the main things that you learn in the course. Ansible, Terraform, Jenkins, CodePipe. You should know both. The reason is that see today you are if you are a, you are yeah, you take for instance Pranati. What Pranati now does is she's basically doing deployments, right? So even little bit, if she wants to be in the same job just doing this, trying to do better her job, then her focus will be completely on this, right? How to write pipelines and other things. But what happens is when she is writing these pipelines, she might need to create some server or other things. And how do you create server? For that, she need to know these two things. You see, her role is very specific. She is interested only to deploy applications, but still somewhere, these things will come into picture. This Ansible, Terraform, your infrastructure, everything. In that context, as a DevOps guy, it's always better that you know both infrastructure as a code as well as CSE. In fact, that is what is DevOps. That is nothing else. Eh, All right. Any questions, guys? In here?
Actually, I myself, Sharif, and I came from a similar background. And I honestly to tell, like, I can't, you know, figure out what my role is currently in the company, but it's the role that I have been given is software engineer, but the day-to-day work that I do is mostly involved with creating containers, running them in the Kubernetes, working on Helm charts and all that
Actually,
kind
what
of stuff.
what is happening, Sharif, nowadays? There are there is if you see, I am into little bit of consulting and all that. Okay, I
Right.
work also for a company, and even we have few things. So I little bit of consulting I do on optimizing costs and all that. So whenever I meet people nowadays, if you see any kind of a role, it is coming down to only two things, man. Either are you writing code, or are you doing this DevOps kind of stuff. Only two things, nothing else is there. I
Yes.
ask anyone, it is saying, okay, today we deployed Kubernetes, we are deploying application with Helm chart, we did Prometheus, or somebody is telling, I wrote a Terraform code. And somebody, I'm hardly hearing nowadays, but even if somebody is doing an in-house development, then very rarely I'm hearing that somebody is saying, okay, I've updated my code in Java and this that is one part. Other than that, it is all coming down to only single role. They're telling DevOps guy, these DevOps only Linux also they are only managing, containers also that team only is managing, Kubernetes also deployment they are only doing. you know Smartly companies have come up with this word of DevOps. They're creating one team and leaving everything to them, right? Otherwise it used to be one Linux team, one Windows team, one deployment team. All that gone now, right? But what you said is true, Sharif. Majority of, if now we are almost like 20 people around, right? If you ask 20 people, I mean, who are just starting, from a different background, leaving that, who are working already, you ask them, everyone will tell you this only. Oh, I ran a pipeline. I created a container. I did a Helm chart, or this kind of stuff.
So I agree with you.
Yeah. All right,
So,
guys. Any quick
uh,
questions, guys? Julio,
in
Santosh, Raghuvi. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Sharif.
in AWS, what are the services we are going to cover?
See, we'll be pretty much covering all the important services. I'll have front office send you the syllabus. So we'll do EC2s, S3s, load balancers, auto scalings, RDS, code pipeline, code commit, Elastic Beanstalk. See, more than services, okay, services anyways we'll learn, right? More than that, our focus will be how to automate those things. Okay, of course, you should understand, how to create your EC2s. Another thing, then we'll see how to do all those things with Terraform.
Yeah, that is a part where I lack and which is what I wanted to learn. So that's why I joined
Yeah,
this. Wanted to know like
correct.
if that's been covered or not. So if you're covering
No, no,
that,
no.
then I'm
Of course, it. See, otherwise, Sharad, I'm sorry, Shafil. Otherwise, what is there? You take a AWS EC2 instance. I say, hey, Sharif, are you free for an hour? You say, yeah, Ravi, I'm free. In 1 hour, I'll teach you EC2 everything. Because everything from UI, it is just doing next, next only, right? The challenge
right.
comes is that when you try to put it in a code and when you try to write all these pipelines and all that kind of stuff. And the way it is going, slow, everything is eventually boiling down to writing a code for everything. Just click it, everything get done, kind of stuff. Yeah. Anyways, that is a little far fetched, but the idea is that don't do things manually and write a code for everything. Uh, All right. Praful, Shakti, Sony, Santosh, Sam, Shubham, Karnakar, Kiran. Any quick questions, guys?
So what will be the duration of this course? 3 months or
Oh, Shafil, what is happening? Every time we start with a target of 2 months, okay, but it will get into third month. The reason is, we are a little bit trying to cut down and do it a little bit fast, but still the number of topics are more. So if anybody are planning for going for an interview and all that, then I would suggest put 2 to 3 months for sure. Okay, only after that you go for an interview.
okay.
We are seeing how to cut it down. So we'll now try to add some weekend stuff and something like that. But actually, if you try to do it too fast, also, it becomes tough for someone to learn properly. So in that sense, we are doing it in a very very slow paced. But I think though sometimes we try to do it in 2 months, but no, it is almost every batch. It is getting into third month. Okay, but yeah, roughly 2 to 3 months you can put it.
Yeah, hi Sai. This side
Yeah,
Krishna.
yeah, yeah.
I just attended both the sessions regarding the Azure and AWS. In your perspective, which one is better? It's uh,
Choice, right, Krishna? Uh, you know, I probably cannot comment which one is better. It's a choice, but uh, um, what I can say about it, um, a little tough for me. You heard both, right?
yeah, yes.
If I comment, it is again commenting on my own stuff, so I can't comment. If you had told me, "Hey Ravi, I attended yours, I attended AWS somewhere else," then I would have commented probably.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
that's it. Anyways, I
But in
think
general, which one service is better?
Of course, DevOps only. Man. Of course, DevOps.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, DevOps. There
So
is no
what is the
second thought.
difference between AWS DevOps, GCP DevOps, and Azure DevOps?
No, see, in our course, this is see. By the way, guys, though we call it as a AWS DevOps kind. Of course, it's a, in a generic DevOps. See, it's basically like this. In AWS DevOps, Azure DevOps, or GCP DevOps, the idea is that they are giving you services so that you can do these things. If you are on an on-prem kind of a company, or if you are into multiple clouds and other things, then for long time this is the tool what everyone used to use to configure your CI/CD stuff. But what AWS has done, which Azure also does, GCP also does, is you want to deploy your applications and other things. They are giving services directly in that in the cloud itself. So that is what is basically AWS DevOps. So the way they say is that I told that we'll learn a tool called Terraform, right, to create infrastructure, Terraform and Ansible. What AWS has done is that instead of Terraform, they have a service called CloudFormation to automate your infrastructure. It's a different thing that people don't use it, but these things for infrastructure as code and CI/CD, they themselves are directly given the services. So you have a repository, you can write down your pipelines and all that, so that you don't need to go outside the AWS to get these things done.
So what about the latest market trends now? What are the percentage, AWS percentage, GCP percentage, and Azure percentage? So market
See,
covering and all the
see,
things. Can you share?
percentage is, percentage wise, maybe the numbers change here and there, but the way the overall it is there from last 10 years. Market leader, of course, is AWS. The next nowadays people are embracing Azure. Okay? Azure, especially when people want to use Active Directory and other things. These all are from Microsoft, right? Or if the company is more a Microsoft shop, then a natural tendency is to get onto Azure, because you get to do a lot of things which Microsoft offers quite easily. Um and GCP price is little bit, I think they are giving it. But the majority of people who are use Google, it is primarily for the Kubernetes. Sometimes they use it. Now, anyways, those service you get it in AWS and Azure also. But traditionally, GCP, a lot of people used to use for that. All right, yes. So, what I think I'll close it here. So, you have any questions? Talk to the front office. So, talk to them very clearly. Any questions you have and all that. Right? If you want to touch base with me, you can just speak to the front office. They'll connect you to me. Okay.
So what about the timing of the batch? It's Saturday, Sunday
One,
only,
I'll
or
have the front office. I'll have front office speak to you on timing. Okay. I had little once check what time they're planning for. Okay.
so what
I
about
have a
you are
question.
taking how many batches?
I'm sorry.
I have a
So
question.
what about means you are taking
No, I think this. See, at any point of time, even if there are a lot of times, we get participants waiting for a long time. Generally, one batch or max two batch. We don't do more than that. So it is morning time. The reason is that especially who are logging from US and other places, we try to put it little bit, in morning sometime around 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. 7 o'clock more about 7 o'clock, so that it's not too late for them. You know, seven for or 8 o'clock. One of that.
okay, sir. Thank you, Sunny. You
Yeah.
have to
Or I guess then see you all. Just feel free to talk to the front office. Okay. Thanks for attending.